WOD Pod. Join me as I sit down with CrossFitters, fitness experts, top coaches, professional athletes, and other well-known gym goers to listen to their journey through fitness. After meeting Zakk in 2020 in between lockdowns, I've seen him DJ at multiple CrossFit competitions around the UK, and he delivers absolute bangers every single time. With Zakk now landing a job working for FitAid and his recent sets at Wodapolooza and the CrossFit Games semi-finals, I had to get him on the pod for a good chat. If we're slightly out of breath at the start, it's because we've just done heavy back squats and then a 2,000 metre row. But yeah, great episode. Enjoyed this one.
Doing my hair. Is my hair all right?
Mine's... Yeah, let's just clarify. Are we rolling? Cool, we can start the episode like this, very informal. Me and Zakk have just done a workout at 11:11, so if we're still out of breath, that's why. I'm going to start with some ASMR.
I've already got mine.
Oh, that was beautiful.
That's the sound like. That's the sound I love to hear.
So yeah, I don't start any of these episodes normally with like a reel of sponsors, but this episode is sponsored by FitAid and Built for Athletes. So we've got our bags. Built for Athletes bag with the Zakk Wild patch. We've got our FitAids. What's this one? Hawaiian nectar.
Hawaiian nectar, passion fruit.
Anyway, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the episode. We're on series 2. This will be episode 11, I think. The most famous CrossFit DJ. I don't know any others. That's probably why. Yeah, the one and only Zakk Wild, so I didn't really introduce you very well. Last week we were at Blackwall Fitness and I said to Zakk, like, what song's this? It was an absolute belter, and he just went, I've got no idea. I pick songs randomly. He said, last night I just picked a load of songs.
So what I do is because I DJ every week and I don't want to play the same songs all the time, so I'm constantly downloading music. And I just make playlists of new songs in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 with the name of the event I'm going to do, and then I never really know what the song's called. I just know what playlist it's on and what number it is, and I'm like, number 7's great, and I put that on, love it. And then somebody asked me, I'm like, I have no idea.
So 2 things. One, it's great that you actually mix, because I'm sure most people are skeptical of like, do DJs just turn up and select a mix, press play, and then pretend to DJ? But the fact that I actually watch and you've got all your songs lined up, you do actually mix your songs, first of all, which is, people probably do think that because I did. And the second thing, it must be good to keep it varied, because like must get like this, the DJs that play the same tracks over and over again at every set, you almost know what they're going to play. Yeah. So it's good that you pick random songs and just
I do. I always look at the workout and think, what does this need to do? What kind of music does this need to do? And try and create an atmosphere around the workout and what's happening in it, whether it needs to be a bit slower at the beginning, a bit faster in the middle, full send at the end, you know. And I try not to, I don't play a lot of really popular songs. I'll do some remixes and things, but I try to do create, like, it's almost like watching a film. This is what I try to do. So you're watching a film, there's a lot of classical music on which you wouldn't ever listen to, but it creates the atmosphere and the feeling for what's happening in the film or the movie, and that's what I try to do with my music. So I play a lot of melodic techno, which is a bit dreamy and a bit floaty, but then it kicks off really, and then people don't realise it, but they're like sucked into it. That's what I try to do anyway. I enjoy it.
No, I've competed at enough comps where you're DJing, and in between the workouts, like when you put on a completely different style of music,
I'll go from heavy metal to like,
it's like you're flowing.
Backstreet Boys.
It's like when you're on that, like endorphins rushing and you're like calming down in between workouts, the music completely changes.
I do, because you don't want, when you finish your workout, the last thing you want is still you want to be like,
chill. And that's the end.
This is and that's it. And I'll try, and it also adjusts your ears, so whatever's coming next, if you've got some sort of slow, chilled out song, and then it comes back in with a drum and bass or a heavy metal or like a bang and dance song, it your ears perk up and you're like, oh, here we go again, you know,
rather than just the same shit all day.
Absolutely.
And actually Stella, well, give her a little mention. You said that Stella actually does all the workouts.
Yeah, so Stella, who I work with a lot, she is so good as an MC. Not people just think, oh, you're just talking on the mic, but not, Stella like makes sure she does all the workouts before every single event, so she knows what she's looking for, what the athletes should be doing, what kind of time scale they should be doing it in, and how the workouts are executed. And I think that's amazing what she does with that. So, and we work so well together.
Do you not do all the workouts before?
This is the second workout I've done in 2 weeks tonight. Hamstrings gone and everything.
To be fair, it was pretty tough.
It was horrendous. horrendous.
Yeah, so I sent Zakk the workout for tonight that we just did, and I sent him yesterday.
So I was coming in expecting light work, and we ended up maxing out heavy back squats whilst running and doing dumbbell snatch.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah,
horrific.
Let's kick off the episode with your favourite song of 2023.
So my favourite song was Miracle Maker by Dom Dollar, but the drum and bass Subsonic remix, which is an absolute banger. So I did share it on my Instagram as the best song at the end of last year. So if you want to check it out on there, it's like me doing a video dancing to it crazily.
What is it? Dom Dollar,
Miracle Maker, but the Subsonic remix. Massive. I play it every set, so you've...
It's not this one, but just so people know the tune.
That's a different remix altogether. Should have had that lined up, really.
Should have had that lined up. Forget that one. No, terrible. Yeah, okay, so, I mean, I've only ever known you as a DJ. What did you do before becoming a DJ?
So I've DJed since I was at school, really. The lad I knocked about with, his older brother was a DJ in the clubs back in like the rave days and things. And I used to go to his house, and I was like, let me have a go at these. And I've always been obsessed with music since I was like 5. My dad got us into like all the heavy metal, and then my dad's mate got us into a bit of dance music when I was like 12, 13. And then it was like rave from about 15 years old. And I used to go to my mate's house and play on his decks, and then he ended up lending us them. I learned how to do it, and then he was in a rave band, and we went round, and I was like the support DJ for them when I was like 15, 16. It was
15.
Like crazy that I was going into like these clubs and bars doing like DJing. I look at 15-year-old people now, and I'm like, oh my God, you're like tiny. Yeah. Like, how did I do that when I was like 15?
you point at me. Cheers, Zakk. I'm not 15.
But yeah, and that was just, I fell in love with just like playing music and feeling the bass, and just like loud music has just been my thing. And
these clubs were like adult clubs?
They were adult clubs, yeah, all adult clubs.
So you're going
in the 90s, like you had your mate's ID, and they just went like, what's your middle name? And you were like, Stephen. And it would just be like, boom, you were in. There was no like, not strict like it is now, you know.
Okay, so tell me a story or stories about your first few gigs, not as a backup DJ, as an actual hired DJ. Can you remember what those gigs looked like?
I think probably like the first ones I did, like parties and weddings and things like that when I was like 18 years old. I'd turn up with like, back in the day it wasn't even CDs, it was 7 inches and 12 inches, so I had like massive boxes of records and vinyls, and then you had about maximum 100 songs for the night, you know. Now I turn up with like 20, the entire catalogue of songs ever, you know. But back in the day I used to carry these big heavy metal boxes about, and I did some like 60th birthday parties and like 21st birthday parties and that in the 90s.
I'm trying to think, 100, I mean, you've got 300 minutes, that's like 5 hours. What happens when it's a long party?
It was so crazy.
You start again with the same songs.
It was so crazy. Like I don't even know how we did it back in the day now. It's like mental, but there's still some DJs who do that, which is...
well, now you can get vinyls, but they're almost still, like dummy vinyls, aren't they?
And then links up to your computer, and you've still got all access. It's just whatever you feel comfortable doing, but I just like the controller all in one, easy to carry about, easy to move, and they're great now, so yeah, it's good.
So you live in Durham?
I do. Capital of the Northeast.
Have you always lived there?
I have, yes. I've always lived in and around Durham. I've moved out of my hometown, and I'm back in my hometown now. So
where did you move to?
Sunderland and Hetton, which is just very close.
So still northeast.
Yeah, it wasn't very far. Yeah. So then back, you know. But it's great. Just live around the corner from parents, and it's all cool. Just easy. You know.
Easy. Yeah. I mean, that's probably why you do a lot of comps around that area, Castle Games,
I do a few, Champs. But most of the work I do is I'm always driving down south somewhere, you know. A lot of the things are definitely at least an hour and a half drive away for us, but I'm just so used to being in my car, and it's quite good being in my car, because all the new music that I download, I'm listening to in the car, so when I'm driving I'm always checking out the new things, so that's pretty good, and it actually works all right for us, and I'm like, oh, this will work out good on Friday, blah, blah, whenever I'm DJing, you know, so that's good.
When you first started DJing, who were your DJ idols?
So when I first started doing like house music and things like that, it was Jeremy Healy, Danny Ramplin, then moved on to like Oak Murillo, Roger Sanchez, all like...
Is it bad that I know none of these?
Yeah, you probably won't. They were all like the heroes of like the 90s and early 2000s, like when like funky house was like the sort of main thing in there.
Right.
And then like now it's like Solomon, you know, Tales of Us, anybody who's like melodic, that's my bag now.
When you started doing your first gigs, it'd been like weddings. Did you just have to play classics like floor fillers?
Yeah, so I kind of went from like them parties and that to me and my friends started doing like house nights in Durham, so that was quite cool. So we put our one nights on where we're playing like dance music and that, so that was really cool for a bit. We hired the boat out in Durham, we went up and down Durham. That was one of the big first nights that we did. That was hilarious, actually.
Did you go well?
It was good. Well, it was sold out, but it was just everybody was just intoxicated, and it was crazy on a boat. Yeah, and it was crazy.
So just two of you DJing?
There was about 3 or 4 of us who kept putting these nights on and that. So that was good. That was really fun.
Was it a good earner, or was it just
no? It was so much hard work. Yeah. It's like packing up, and the next day when you were like hungover and things like that sucked.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons I love the CrossFit DJing, because it's through the day, so I can go to bed on a night time. It's champion, so still get to play my music loud, still get to like pretend I'm in a club or whatever, and then go home at a race. Yeah, exactly. Go home at a race.
Well, I've been at a few comps where you've finished the CrossFit comp and then gone and done an
after party thing. Yeah, that's cool. I've done that when I did the best one I've ever done was the FitAid after party in Berlin last year. Was literally the best ever DJing I've ever done in my entire life. I DJed from 10 o'clock at night till 7 in the morning, and it was insane the whole night.
So that was after a comp day?
That was after Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the semi-finals in Berlin, the CrossFit Games semi-finals. Finished at 6 o'clock. I was like, oh my God, I'm so tired, I'm not going to make it tonight. Got there at 10 o'clock, and it was just the best night ever.
So that day you DJed from?
Like 8 in the morning till 6, went home, had some tea, and then got back to the club for 10 and then stopped there till 7 o'clock in the morning.
So you had 5 hours off in 24, so you did 19 hours of DJing in a day. That's got to be a record. That has to be a record.
I have done a couple of 24-hour events. I did a 24-hour event at Black Wolf.
Yeah, you did.
That was horrific. Yeah. It was the coldest night of my life. I thought I was actually going to die of cold.
Yeah, so Black Wolf Fitness did, basically for charity, it was 24 workouts in 24 hours, workout on the hour.
I think I did about 6 of them as well. So I was DJing and did about 6 workouts.
Did you do the Murph?
Did the Murph.
Oh.
It was the worst.
How did you manage Murph and DJing?
I just put a mix on when I was doing it, so one of my mixes was on, so that was good. But I was so cold, I was like, I need to do something to warm us up. But then I was freezing cold again after I'd sweated and then cooled down. Yep. So then I had to do another one to try to do it, and I was like hallucinating by the end. At the end of the morning, I was like, I'm driving home like this, like what the hell?
Yeah, and to say that you've DJed in some wild nightclubs. The one time you were hallucinating was in a CrossFit box.
Yeah, literally stone cold sober, freezing cold,
hallucinating. Going, oh. Anyway, speaking of mixes, you've got all your mixes are on SoundCloud.
Yeah, SoundCloud, Mixcloud. Yeah, a little bits and bobs on Spotify, but a lot of the songs I do and play are not on Spotify. So
So your songs?
So the songs that I've downloaded the remixes and certain things are not on Spotify. So I after every event, I'll pick like an hour's worth of songs what I thought were really good there, and then do a mix of them and then put them on my Mixcloud and SoundCloud.
So if there's any CrossFit gyms or gym owners listening to the podcast, if you want to play music in your classes without there being pauses after every song, go on to Zakk's SoundCloud and download, play some mixes.
Link in bio.
As much as you play house music, I know you're a metalhead deep at heart. How did you kind of get into DJing but also love metal music? Like,
I used to get a lot of skills. So when I was so my dad grew up on Iron Maiden, Saxon, like all the old rock kind of bands. I loved all that. But then my dad's friend was an early raver in the 90s, and he got us into dance music. So at school, I was like listening to heavy metal and dance music. And the way I could see it then was both of them you're like kicking off to them and you're having a good time to both of them, so it doesn't really matter as long as it's got a good bass, loads of bass, get in it, loving it.
You don't necessarily have to pick a genre. You can appreciate both at different times.
Yeah,
it's
just how I feel or whatever I'm doing. And like, it's another great thing of the CrossFit DJing. Like, no one's telling us, "Oh, I don't want you to play this. You can't play this." Blah blah blah. I come in and however I feel at that day, or whoever's in front of me, I'm like, right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You know.
Maybe go for a heavy metal mosh and a max lift because it's like Angus.
I do.
You know,
it's really good. So heavy metal for like lifting, drum and bass is good for lifting. Anything that's really angry and to get the crowd.
See, I actually think drum and bass is really good for running because the BPM.
It's 174. It's like brilliant. It's
when you're running on that beat.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. And skipping's good. But skipping thing as well.
Which is a double under workout. Always drum and bass. Who is your favourite artist or artists you've seen live? Let's go for one metal, one house, and one melodic house.
With Solomon, easy for my melodic guy. He's absolutely meant. He's so good at doing like 40-hour DJ sessions and things like that. He's an absolute legend. He's so good. I've seen him a couple of times now. For drum and bass, I saw
Wilkinson's
really good. Subfocus is really good. Yeah. All of that genre is amazing. So I've seen them dotted around in every single show is so good.
There was that, that Maddock Dutch guy. I think he's Dutch. Mm-hmm. He did a COVID like SoundCloud live mix, and he went on to do it, and he had like 200 live streamers. He just kept DJing. The set was like 5 hours long, and he ended it with like 70,000. It was crazy. It was like he started it off and he was like, "Holy shit! Like, why are there so many people in this live mix?" But he did it on like camera, and he was that was pretty cool. So that mix is like awesome to listen back because he's like getting so hyped towards the end.
Excited, and when he's seeing all the people. I bet.
Who was the metal band?
For metal, I'm just trying to think who.
So Zakk was wearing a hoodie which had Sleeps written on it.
Yeah, so that's While She Sleeps, which are one of my favourite bands at the minute. Like, they are really good. They're like metalcore, which is like quite emotional, but also really heavy and a bit screamo, but also has some like weird, really nice ballads in that. I love them. You were
telling me about the club that you joined.
So I've joined their club and I get invited to the warehouse, which is in Sheffield, so I can go and just hang out with the guys, and it's just like surreal that this band who like tours the world, playing in like arenas and things.
Because they've got a big following as well.
Yeah, they're like 300,000 on Instagram. They've got like, this is the 7th album, possibly 6th album. So they're like they're no small band, but just the fact that they're so connected with the fans I think is amazing. So
I think all artists should do that. Like,
it's so good.
The dedicated ones should get the opportunity to go and meet them.
I mean, obviously, if you're like massive, if you're like sort of Metallica or an Iron Maiden, you're going to get mobbed, So it's like, it is difficult for that. But these ones who like have this sort of connections, really good, really good.
So, has DJing always been a side hustle, or what have you done alongside it or before it? Or
so it's always just filled in my weekends. So literally from like 1995, I've just DJed every weekend in some format. So whether it been like club DJing, wedding DJing, party DJing, to when I started doing CrossFit DJing.
Since 1995, do you think you've ever had a month of your life without one set?
No, definitely not.
That's crazy.
I love it. I'm like almost a bit of a workaholic as well, so I quite like it, and I like the feeling of making people happy and making people dance and that. That's one of my things, and just seeing people like either sing along or dance or sing or just get a buzz from it. And that's one of my things that I love doing. That's why I love doing it.
I'm just working out 348 months. No, sorry. No. Yeah.
I definitely need a calculator for that.
It's like,
I'm still not over the back squats. I'm trying to work something out.
Yeah, I'm scrapping that one. So tell me what you do for a job, or what do you do from early ages through to what you're doing now?
So what I did when
because you weren't always in CrossFit. it was
No,
was
so
it recruitment?
I did recruitment for 17 years from like the early 2000s. So it was like sales. I was working in construction, selling people to go to work, which was all right. The money was good, but you were just dealing with people who didn't go to work all the time. So I was selling something, but it didn't matter how good I was doing at selling. If that person never went into work, all that hard work didn't work.
Yep.
You know, it was like pointless. So I left there, and I've been working for FitAid for 2 and a bit years now. So I'm trying to sell the can. The can's always going to be the can, and it's always going to be there. So I'm selling something that's just a much better thing.
The can can't let you down.
It can't really let me down, you know.
A person going into a job can
let me down. So selling something that is actually good, it's healthy, and it's much better than a person who's
can go in. Yeah, it's hungover on a Monday.
Unreliable, you know. There's so many excuses I've had on a Monday.
Going back to club DJing, what are your pet peeves as a wedding DJ?
Playing the same 30 songs that I've played for the entire time that I've DJed.
What about all the drunk guests that go,
everyone's a DJ.
Wonderwall.
Everyone's a DJ. I'm going, put my song on, I'm going up, like, who
Fuck
cares?
off.
Yeah, literally. And just like drunk people, just so annoying, especially when you're sober and you're like...
Yeah. So before you got into CrossFit DJing, which we'll come on to, what was your biggest gig before CrossFit?
I played some really big ones when I was like 18 and that. We had touring about with this rave band. We played some pretty, like, for me, full venues, like crazy. I can't remember the places they were called. Like I say, it was in the sort of mid-90s, you know. But they were really good. And then I played a few house nights and that where there was like, you know, what we'd put on for like 400, 500 people, and that was like crazy, you know, when I was a young'un and that, you know. So
I think putting on the event's even cooler because there's a lot more work involved in
so much stress. Yeah, you think, DJ, while I was putting the event on, it's like so much headache that's going with it. But
when you see it come to life and everyone's there and you're playing a song and it drops,
so good.
Okay, coming on to CrossFit then, what came first, your first CrossFit workout or your first CrossFit set as a DJ?
They were very close, actually. So I started CrossFit in 2014, and straight away I was like...
You should be at the games by now.
I know. I did think that I was going out. Like everyone, like, I've started CrossFit, I'm going to go to the games. But like back when I started, a 60, 70k snatch was like, people were doing it at the games. I was like, I can not be very long. I'm going there.
Now
it just got ridiculous.
15-year-old girls doing that.
No, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had so the CrossFit Boxer started DHM, it was called, in Durham. As soon as I got there, I was like, on a Friday night, we kind of had a bit of a social. I was like, let me bring my decks. I'll DJ while we're doing the workout. We'll have some drinks after. And that happened like quite a lot of times on a Friday night. And then CrossFit competitions started popping up in 2014, and I just like contacted them, like, let me bring my decks, let me do this, and they just sort of rolled on from there to where I am now, really.
Do you think were you doing CrossFit? Were there CrossFit comps at the time when you were doing CrossFit in 2014?
There wasn't very many. I would say, like, you know, few in London, like I can't remember exactly what they were called. Like maybe the London Games or something, or the London, what used to be like European Champs, like before it was called that, or things like that. But there wasn't very many.
It sounds weird, but did they have DJs or did they just play music?
Like, I just can't remember. It was like well before, and I hadn't been to them. But like when I was contacting the events at the beginning, they were like, "Oh no, we're not that bothered." I was like, "Yeah, let me bring my stuff. I'll make it amazing for you. I'll like play it out. I've got microphones, I've got speakers. Let me just do this." And then everyone's like, "This is really good." And then it sort of rolled on, and like word of mouth, and I would say, "Oh, I've DJed at this comp, and this comp would take me on," and it just sort of got better and better and better throughout the years.
Maybe without you being a DJ, there wouldn't be DJing at CrossFit comps. Like, I don't know. Like,
I didn't invent it, but I was like very close to it. You know?
You didn't invent the DJ, but you maybe invented DJing at comps. I don't know.
I was very close to it. I would say I was definitely one of the first people to do it. You know, so.
Okay, what was the first CrossFit comp you DJ'd at? Like proper comp, not in-house.
It was either Glacier Games or the Thorium Throwdown.
What's that?
Both.
Does that still exist?
No, that doesn't. That ended in
after you DJ'd. No, it was the bad music.
The guy sort of something happened. The guy took everyone's entry fee and sort of disappeared. No one's seen them since. But it was for the 2 or 3 events before it were actually all right. People come from all over Europe for it and that. So we had people from Germany, France, and everything. So that was pretty cool. They were the first ones I did. And then I was pottering around doing little ones and that. And then I think Rain Hills was like the first sort of big comp that I'd done in the UK. And then from then I just sort of got bigger and bigger and bigger, you know.
I mean, whenever I've seen comps, initially when I was getting into CrossFit, we're talking 3 or 4 years ago, I've only ever really seen you DJing at them. Like, or when I went to a comp, for the first 10 comps I think I went to, it was only you. So I was like, this guy's busy. Like, I remember there was like, I think it was like 6 weeks in a row, back in like, I want to say 21, 22. I think it was like CrossFest, something else. I was like, right, it's like, when will I see you? What are you doing next weekend? Oh, I'm at whatever it was. I was like, see you there. Oh, see you at Wadlands. And it was like 5 in a row. I was like, we've got the same schedule. But
which is also why I have to have new music all the time. Otherwise, I'm playing the same songs to the same people. You know, because a lot of the people, our community is so small. Like, the CrossFit community is small, but the CrossFit competing community is even smaller, you know. So, like, that's one of the reasons, because I'm doing it all the time, that I don't want people to go, well, he's just playing these songs last week, well, you know. So that's why I try to do new stuff all the time.
You do a mix for most comps.
I do.
Every single mix is different.
It is. I try to do that. So it also, if people sort of follow my SoundCloud and Mixcloud, I don't want to do the same mix what I just did. So I change it up every time. So it's a little bit different. Each one will be like a rock one, a heavy metal one, like a melodic one, a house one. And so each one's a little bit different, you know.
You don't play much rap?
I don't, because the old rap is good. I'm not that keen on the new stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Like grime and
that's just like, it's just not for me. I don't know how people work out to it. I feel like it's too slow, and it's not. There's not enough to it, and there's a lot of like gaps and slow bits where I like to keep the energy high all the time.
There's no energy in grime.
There's not, is there? No. And it's just not for me. So I don't do a lot of it at all.
Yeah. What's your? I mean, everyone likes to hear a good disaster story. What's been your biggest disaster at a CrossFit comp? I can think of one if you can't.
Go on.
I want to hear yours first.
Biggest disaster? I can't think.
The one where you were stood under a tent which didn't cover your decks. It was raining. Oh, yeah. And then there was like a river.
It was at Wodapolooza. So it was Wodapolooza. It was the last
was
day.
It last year or the year?
It was just the wrong going. And the rain was so bad. Like, it was just horrific rain. And it started coming in through the tent that we had. And then I was stood with all the cables around us, power and everything, and then all of a sudden that was completely flooded. I was like, my feet were completely under the water whilst all the cables and power were running through, and I was like, I'm not that keen on this. So I messaged my boss, and he came over and he went, yeah, let's not do that. I was like, that's a good thing.
Because I think it was when was it? There was a comp earlier in the year, and Zakk was like, guess what? I'm DJing at Wodapolooza. I was like, so jealous. He sold it, the Miami dream. Yeah. Anyway, Zakk sent me a photo, and he's got a gazebo. Didn't they have to put a gazebo around you?
Us, yeah, because the rain was coming in so bad.
So Zakk was DJing to a tent, to a wall.
Total facing just a wall of tent around us. Still living the dream.
Miami wasn't that glamorous.
Yeah, but it does happen a bit. But like the rest of it, when it's nice, it's like the most amazing competition ever. You're out there and it's sun, especially it's in January as well. So it's so miserable here in England. It's the worst. And then you're there and you've got like 5 days of like sun and just like nice people just like having
the best time.
Yeah, and that's good. So I do like that.
If you could pick one competition that's been your favourite and you would do every single year forever, what would you pick, excluding CrossFit Games?
I do like Wodapolooza, obviously, and I like all of the comps. To me, I'm not like, oh my god, this one's not as good as that. I give everything. I give my all to every single comp I do, and I treat them like the big ones the same as I treat the little ones, and I love being at them all. I really liked Albeit last year. So Albeit in a big stadium. It's a bullfighting stadium, and it looks unbelievable. I feel like I'm at the Coliseum with gladiators, like however many years ago that was. Yeah. That's what it feels like. So that setting, and the way it was set up, I'm DJing in the middle of the rig, so there's 10 lanes to the right of me, 10 lanes to the left. And I've got like Luka Dukic doing ring muscle ups literally right next to us while I'm DJing. And I was like, this is cool. Yeah, so that's a really good one. And it's so hot and sunny in there, so yeah.
That helps.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you back at the games this year?
I'm going to the games this year. I still haven't DJ'd for them. I've been in talks for them. I've worked for CrossFit Direct now, so that was cool.
How did you work for them?
I worked for them for the Orlando and the Berlin semi-finals last year. So I've been in talks with them to do the games for the last 5 years. I've just never gotten across the line for them, but because they knew who I was and I'd been in touch with them, they got me in for the semi-finals, which was so good.
Where are the semis this year, European ones?
France. So I'm DJing.
You are DJing there?
I'm DJing there
so
for the French
DJing
Showdown.
at the semi-finals?
Yeah. Okay. For the French Showdown, which is the European one. So the French Showdown is also the French Showdown, but it's also the semi-finals this year.
This year.
Well.
All right,
so it moves about in that. So last year it was in Berlin. This one it's in France, in Lyon.
Yeah. Okay, how did you land the job at FitAid?
So I've always drank FitAid for about 5 years, maybe 3 or 4 years before I was working for them, because I'm not very good with highly caffeinated drinks, and this has always been like a really low to zero caffeine, and it's so nice and refreshing after a workout and that. And it sponsored the CrossFit Games, so I was like, oh my god, I love everything CrossFit. So, and it tastes really nice. So I was on the radar for them anyway, and then I actually I worked for Battle for Middle Ground for a little bit, and we got the FitAid to sponsor our jailbreak tour, which came out just after lockdown. So I got quite friendly with the UK rep who did my job before me, and then I saw he was like, oh, I'm leaving, and I saw a post on FitAid's Instagram saying, oh, we're looking for a UK guy. I was like, oh my god, I messaged him going, I'd love to work for you guys. They were like, apply. I was like, all right, I'm going to. And I applied, and they were like, right, can you do a presentation? And I was like, oh my god, I've got an interview with FitAid. I was so buzzing. Did the interview. Wasn't too sure how it went, because the guys are my boss is from Holland Heist, and Justin did it, and I wasn't sure how to take the Dutch people.
They love house music.
They do like that. I know. So
they love melodic house.
After I came off the call, I was like, oh, I don't think that went very well there. I rang my wife, and I was like, oh, I don't know, I think that went wrong. And while I was talking to her, a random number rang me. I was like, oh, I'll take this phone. And it was Heist going, yeah, we'd like to offer you the job. I was like, oh my god, that's the best. But I'd been at my other job for 17 years, and to leave that industry completely to start here was like, well, scary.
I can imagine, but at the same time,
it's been great. Yeah, absolute no-brainer. It's just like my whole life revolved around CrossFit, and it's just a perfect thing to be in with it. And I've done sales the whole time, so it is just a sales job at the end of the day, really, but a really cool one.
I think when you're really interested in what you're selling, it makes it so much easier.
It's so much better. Like, trying to sell people who didn't go to work wasn't the best.
No interest in that. Like, it's just negative with it. Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, and have you got a goal with FitAid maybe this year?
Yeah, so obviously just trying to get cans in hands, we call it, and get everybody sort of drinking now a healthy recovery drink. That's what we're trying to do. So we've got, maybe 250 gyms at the moment. I'd like to get 300, maybe 350 gyms of people buying it, through all the CrossFit gyms and functional fitness gyms. So
big numbers.
That's what we're trying to do. Yeah, big numbers. But I totally believe in the drink, and I believe in the way it helps you recover. When I was at my best fitness in lockdown, when all I did was train, I drank 2 cans of FitAid every day, and I fully believe that added to how good I was at the time, It
does help when you can also go in and go, I'll do you a set. It's a nice little sweetener as well.
Exactly.
Okay, so I remember you told me about when we were at Wadland and I was severely hungover. I remember you told me about the night in Berlin, after the semi-finals.
Mm-hmm,
did that set. And what did you say about wasn't the person that ran the venue, didn't they kind of have some weird questions for you about your set?
They were because it was really hot. They were like, we apologise for the heat. People don't normally wear clothes in here. So I was just like, okay, yeah. I have been to some of the Berlin techno clubs, and I do know people don't wear clothes in them. And all of ours were like dressed up, you know, as normal clothes.
CrossFit athletes, probably.
Yeah, coming naked. Yeah, but yeah, that was crazy.
Okay. What's been your weirdest experience as a DJ? Like, what's been a weird set you've done?
I cannot really like of something weird. I mean, at that event, there was people doing some crazy dance things and that. Some of the CrossFit athletes, who I can't mention, I'm not mentioning, but there was some crazy stuff going on. So, but yeah, some of them like to party, and I like that. I do like that a lot, you know.
And also, they probably don't get hammered that often.
No, they'll do it like, you know, the after party for that, maybe the after party of the games, and I think that's it, you know.
Yeah.
So they are letting the hairs down, having a good time and that, you know.
Okay. Tell me about your hearing, because that fascinated me when you told me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born deaf, and I didn't hear till I was about 5 years old.
Which is when you started DJing. like, I can hear. Straight on the desk.
Literally. So nobody knew I was deaf, because obviously when you're a kid and that, you're not saying, oh, by the way, I can't hear, because you don't even know. You're just getting along. When I went to school, the teachers were like to my parents, like, I don't think I can hear. Was shouting his name and things like that. That's nothing's happening. And I was a little bit slower at the beginning.
You just couldn't be asked.
Yes. A little bit slower. And then, so from like 5-6 year old, I was had multiple operations every single year till I was 16. I had hearing aids and everything and that.
Wow.
And they fixed my ears to a level to what they are now.
Was it both ears or one?
Mainly my right. But it was both ears, and they cleared it out. I don't even know, but I had millions of grommets, if anybody knows what them are.
Right.
These things that you push in the ear, and it cleared my ears out all the time, because they were always blocked and I could never hear anything.
Surely that made it harder to DJ from the age of 5. Well, when you were doing your sets at age 15,
yeah, it was
still an issue.
I still had an hearing aid in, but I used to get so much grief at school for my hearing aid, my glasses, and my long ginger hair. I was like, I was an absolute target. So
someone find a photo, please.
So I tried not to wear it and that, you know. And then sort of 16, I was like discharged, and they were like, yeah, they're all right. Just try not to do, you know, crazy stuff to it and that. So I do apologise to why I'm so loud when I DJ, is because I can't hear.
But I think that came about when I said to you, like, you're stood right next to the speaker, your ear's not absolutely ringing. And you said, well, I can't hear the music that well anyway. Yes. Like, do you still find that your hearing's maybe not as good as someone else?
I mean, I've only heard what I hear, so I don't necessarily know what other people can hear. But yeah, my hearing's definitely not as good as what the
which might
hear.
Actually play into your favour when you've got a DJ for 6 hours. Like some of the people will be going, I'm done.
When I set my stuff up as well, my speakers are in front of us, so I don't hear as what you guys hear anyway, you know. And I have my monitor speaker next to me, which I turn up and down. So yeah.
Do you get anyone else to do a sound check, or do you just go off what you hear?
No, I always go. I'll set it up and I'll walk around and I'll make sure it's all right. I always pop out a few times to make sure it's okay.
That's why it's so loud then. you can barely hear it. And we're all going, fucking hell.
Yeah, I've always got Stella or whoever I'm working with is always going, turn it down or turn it up, you know. So she's good. She knows the crack, so it's good.
Yeah. Cool. So I've seen you've been doing a lot more media, photography, videos, Zakk Wild media. What's the plan? Is it just a hobby? Is it maybe going to lead into
like
more work?
So like my DJing wasn't enough as an expensive hobby. I've now got another super expensive hobby. So I ended up getting one because last year at the Orlando semi-finals, my friend J-Doll, who I was DJing with, he had a Sony A7 III, and we was like, let me have a go, and I did some pictures and videos of him, and then he did some of me, and I was like, this is really cool. And so I tour all over the world doing all these amazing places. And I take the odd picture on my iPhone, which is like shit really, and I was just like, I'm going to get a camera. I really, really enjoyed this. So I got one and started taking a few pictures and that, made by Johnny. Also, Jamie helping us out with things. And I was like, even now I'm like taking pictures, videos, and I'm like, oh my God, that's like looks amazing. And I'm like, how am I able to do this? Like, and I love the way the picture looks or the way the quality is compared to like your general iPhone things like that. And I just love it. And I love capturing the moments and making little videos and things. I'm much more into videoing at the minute. Just the way you can put the song to the video and make like the emotions come in that. I love it.
But the fact that you're at most of the comps anyway, you have got time. So like when you put a mix on, there's all the time the song's playing to then go.
Well, like, because every song's like 3 minutes, 4 minutes long. So once the song's on, I'm just waiting until the end of the song. So I'm just like snapping away, and you know, it's generally whoever's in the lane in front of us. And like, because I'm not getting paid or hired to do it, I'm not like taking pictures of random people. So it's generally the people who I know as well, you know. So or whoever's in the lane right next to us are getting a picture.
Although, as your media, like Instagram grows, you probably could go, right, I'll do DJ and photos. Like, you probably could.
It's the hard work, and I would end up missing people in that, you know. So I just do it because it's fun. I really enjoy it.
You could double your rate.
No, I don't want to take anyone's job or anything like that. I'm happy just doing my little bobs, taking some things and that. And just like, so for example, that Orlando one we did. Like, we got some footage of each other DJing where I wouldn't have, you know, like,
that's true.
So I'm not that keen on bugging. Like, obviously, I asked Jamie to take a picture, or Johnny, give us a picture, please. Just shut a WOD or Nero, you know. But I'm not really like, oh, will you do this for us, please? I hate doing that. Whereas if I just go, will you take a picture of us when my camera, it's done, you know. And rather than me going, have you got that picture of us? So,
you'd have to follow up and chase after it.
Whereas I've got it done. I'm not harassing anybody or anything, and I just much easier, better, you know. So.
No, I think it's good.
Yeah, I love it.
So we'll plug your media on the screen.
Thank you.
Media Instagram. Going to finish with some rapid fire questions. Favourite takeout?
Takeaway food? Turkish, like mixed grill. Love them.
Ooh, okay.
Love them.
Do you like Parmas?
I'm from a bit further north, so it's from like Middlesbrough and Teesside and that farm, wasn't it? I mean, I've had one before, but it's not like, I'm not rushing back to get one. They were about 2,000 calories each. Like,
it's not a great deal.
No.
What's your go-to coffee order?
Black Americano, because I'm like allergic to everything.
Yeah.
So I just have a black one. It's like easy. So.
Can you still have caffeine? I thought.
Yeah, I just have like one or two coffees a day and that, you know.
What's your favourite flavour of FitAid?
Citrus, but I go in and out of that in the new Hawaiian passion.
The one that I just had, Hawaiian nectar.
Hawaiian nectar,
it's really good. That.
Yeah.
What's the best gym you've been to in the UK, excluding the ones you train at? CrossFit gym.
I went to CrossFit Cattle Dog last week, and that is 8,000 square foot. There's not many gyms I've been to in the UK that are that big. It was absolutely ginormous. Ran by Jamie Ware, I believe. FitAid gym, love how FitAid, well, great. And just massive. It's basically like two massive gyms side by side. Brilliant. Highly recommend that.
So if you own a CrossFit gym and you're bitter that Zakk didn't say your gym, it's because you don't have FitAid.
Literally.
What would be, if I was DJing and you were going for a max lift in a comp, what would you want me to play?
Rise Against. There we go.
Nice.
It's probably my favourite workout music ever is Rise Against.
Would you have that for all workouts or just like lift workouts?
I just love Rise Against. I would just play it like I quite like working out heavy metal rather than and drum and bass and that as well, but like mainly like heavy metal for me. It's like good. Yeah, love it.
So I forgot your KARTA bottle.
Oh,
but next comp I'll see you. I'll bring it. Basically, KARTA do it's like a water bottle which is also a barbell jack. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen them on your podcast before.
So Pete said all the guests get one. So
that's nice.
I've got one for you. So
thank you.
Next time I see you, I'll bring that. Is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap up the episode?
No, thank you for having us.
No worries.
And hopefully I haven't been too boring or come across like a moron. Like,
no.
And people can actually understand what I'm saying.
we got through the accent, it's fine. Wicked. We'll put your social media. What's your Instagrams?
I think it's just Instagram, Zakk, ZAKK_wild.
Yep.
Yeah, and then the other one's Zakk_wild_media23, I think, for my media one. So
we'll get them on the screen. And thanks for joining me.
Amazing, thank you very much.
Thanks for the workout and thanks for the FitAid.
Yeah, still dying.
Still dying. We did it though.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries.
Cheers, Jamie, as well.
I hope you enjoyed that episode and a huge thank you for listening. Make sure you're following the pod on Instagram at the.wod.pod. The podcast is sponsored by WOD Powders. That's at WOD Powders on Instagram. Please show some support to the pod by either sharing this episode with a mate or buying some supplements from wodpowders.co.uk. See you guys next week.